A quiet exhale of sandalwood smoke disappears into the chilled air of a private courtyard. Somewhere beyond the walls, the loudest city on earth is whispering. The heat of the afternoon has finally broken. You can feel it in the way the heavy air softens, transforming into a gentle breeze that carries the distinct scent of crushed cardamom and dry earth. We are sitting in a room where the late afternoon light filters through intricate wooden lattices, painting geometric shadows across hand-woven carpets. There is no background music here. There is only the rhythmic, almost musical sound of a brass mortar and pestle crushing fresh coffee beans in the corner. A man in a pristine white robe leans forward, holding a beautifully curved brass pot. He pours a thin, golden stream of coffee into a tiny porcelain cup without a handle. He does not ask if we are ready. Hospitality here is not a question. It is an unbroken rhythm, a duty passed down through generations. Outside these thick limestone walls lies a metropolis built on velocity and glass. A place the world knows for dizzying heights, roaring engines, and blinding gold. But in this quiet room, time moves completely differently. You can hear the fabric of traditional garments rustling as people shift their weight on the low cushions. This is the pulse of a different kind of wealth. We are entering the invisible, deeply guarded world of Dubai. Welcome to Culture Journey. When most people imagine this city, they see a mirage of towering steel and impossible engineering reaching into the clouds. They see only the surface, the flashing lights, the supercars idling in traffic, and the sprawling marble malls that feel like enclosed universes. But beneath the spectacle, tucked away behind unmarked wooden doors and high private walls, exists a layer of Dubai that is rarely captured on camera. It is a world where luxury is not about showing off. It is about stillness. It is about heritage polished to a breathtaking gleam over decades of quiet practice. Today, we are walking past the velvet ropes of the tourist districts and stepping into the deeply personal spaces where the soul of the Emirates actually lives. We will sit in the shade of ancient traditions that have adapted to unimaginable wealth without ever losing their meaning. Let the noise of the modern city fade away. We are going to experience the subtle, profound elegance that anchors this desert home. To truly understand this invisible side of Dubai, you have to leave the spectacle completely behind. And before you even see the true luxury of this culture, you smell it. Walking through the quiet residential corridors of Jumeirah in the early evening, the air physically changes. A heavy, intoxicating sweetness lingers in the alleyways long after a person has walked past. It is oud. But this is not the commercial fragrance sprayed from glass bottles in bright duty-free shops. This is pure, aged agarwood resin burning slowly over hot charcoal in a silver censer. In an Emirati home, scent is a sophisticated language of respect. We are welcomed into a private Majlis, the traditional reception room, where a silver tray of burning bukur is passed gently from hand to hand. You are meant to cup the fragrant smoke, drawing it toward your face, your hair, and the folds of your clothes. The scent is woody, ancient, and deeply comforting. It settles into the fabric of your garments and stays there for days. This ritual dates back centuries, born in woven desert tents and coastal stone houses as a way to welcome weary travelers escaping the harsh sun. The spaces have transformed over generations into modern villas with cool marble floors, but the physical gesture, the quiet, absolute honoring of a guest, remains entirely unbroken. True luxury here is continuity. It is the profound ability to hold on to a piece of the past so tightly that it becomes a seamless part of the modern skin. The Majlis itself is a masterpiece of understated design. There are no garish displays of wealth shouting for your attention. Instead, you notice the perfection of the quiet details. The thick cushions lining the walls are woven from heavy fabrics that took months to loom by hand. The dates served alongside the coffee are not just fruit, they are specific harvests, perhaps rare royal kalas or soft ajwa, presented with the care usually reserved for fine jewelry. When the gahwa, the traditional Arabic coffee, is poured, it never reaches the brim. In this culture, a full cup is a polite but firm dismissal, a quiet signal that the host expects you to drink and depart. Instead, it is poured only a quarter full, ensuring the liquid stays perfectly hot. You take a sip, and without a word, the host pours another delicate measure. This silent choreography continues until you gently twist your empty cup from side to side, a subtle motion signaling your satisfaction. It is a conversation built entirely on intense observation. The host watches his guests with a quiet, protective vigilance. This profound attentiveness is the true foundation of Emirati luxury. It is the deeply reassuring feeling of being entirely looked after by someone who considers your comfort a matter of personal honor. If you sit in a quiet cafe in the financial district watching people pass, you will notice the local men wearing the traditional kandura. To the untrained eye, they all look identical, just simple white robes. But if you sit long enough and observe, you see the subtle hierarchy of elegance. Tucked away in the older, sun-bleached neighborhood of Satwa, the rhythmic hum of sewing machines spills from a small, unassuming tailor shop. The hum of sewing machines fills the narrow room. The man behind the wooden counter has been cutting fabric for the same families for 3 generations. He knows the exact preferences of a grandfather, his son, and his grandson. The cloth he unrolls is sourced from the finest boutique mills in Japan or Switzerland. The tassel hanging from the neck, known as the tarbouche, is rolled and twisted by hand to achieve the perfect weight. The luxury is completely hidden in the fit, the precise weight of the cloth catching the desert breeze, and the pristine, unwrinkled perfection maintained throughout a sweltering summer day. It is an insistence on immaculacy. In a city that reinvents its skyline every decade, wearing the traditional dress with absolute perfection is a quiet, powerful anchor. It is a way of walking through a rapidly changing world and saying, we know exactly who we are. As the afternoon shadows grow long and purple, we leave the paved roads behind. The true elite of Dubai do not retreat to glass penthouses to escape the world. They retreat to the sand. The desert is not an empty, lifeless space to them. It is their ancestral living room. We are driving deep into a private reserve in a modified vehicle that glides over the massive dunes with eerie smoothness. The silence out here is absolute. It rings in your ears. Our host steps out onto the cooling sand. The temperature drops rapidly as the sun nears the horizon. On his thick leather glove rests a magnificent peregrine falcon. Her head is covered by a tiny, beautifully crafted leather hood topped with a small plume. Falconry is not a weekend hobby. It is an ancient partnership between man and predator, born centuries ago out of raw survival in an unforgiving landscape. Today, a champion hunting bird can cost more than a high-performance sports car. But standing here as the sun dips below the dunes, painting the sand in shades of crushed violet and burnt orange, money feels completely irrelevant. The host gently removes the leather hood. The bird shakes her feathers, the tiny brass bells attached to her legs chiming sharply in the quiet air. Her dark eyes lock onto the vast horizon. With a sudden, powerful thrust of wings, she is airborne, becoming a sharp, dark silhouette against the fading light. Below on the sand, a Saluki dog, one of the oldest and most aristocratic breeds in the world, watches with alert, trembling muscles. There is a deep, primal connection unfolding here. The men watch the bird with a silent reverence that borders on the spiritual. This is what ultimate privilege looks like in Dubai. It is not the ability to build a skyscraper. It is the ability to preserve a sliver of the untamed world and maintain a living blood tie to a nomadic past. Before the oil flowed and the real estate boomed, long before the world recognized its modern skyline, this was a thriving coastal sanctuary, a bustling pearl diving hub and free trade port built on the vision of astute merchants and the sheer endurance of the sea. The local elders remember a time when the saltwater creek was the lifeblood of their world, a bustling artery where global trade winds met, and where the pursuit of pearls brought both quiet prosperity and a heavy, dangerous price. Later in the evening, we sit near the dark, rippling water of Dubai Creek. The old wooden dhows creak gently against their moorings, smelling of salt and aged timber. An older gentleman with deep, weathered lines etched around his eyes is holding a small velvet pouch in his lap. He tips it forward slowly, and a handful of natural pearls spills onto the low wooden table. They are not perfectly round. They are delightfully irregular, glowing with a soft, iridescent warmth that manufactured pearls can never replicate. He speaks quietly of his grandfather, who used to dive to the ocean floor with nothing but a nose clip made of turtle shell and a heavy stone weight attached to his ankle. He would hold his breath until his lungs burned, searching for oysters in the murky depths while enduring the sting of jellyfish and the crushing pressure of the sea. The man touches one of the larger teardrop-shaped pearls with a calloused thumb. This is the original luxury of Dubai. It was pulled from the dark water through sheer human endurance and bravery. The modern billionaires of this city still collect these rare natural pearls, not to wear them to parties, but to hold them in private safes. They keep them as anchors. They are quiet, luminous reminders of a time when survival was hard and wealth was measured in breath. The night deepens, and the modern city lights up like a glowing circuit board in the distance. But in the private courtyard where we have been invited for dinner, the illumination is soft and golden. Heavy brass lanterns cast a warm glow over a long table, set beneath the sprawling branches of a gahwa tree, the incredibly resilient evergreen of the desert. The food arrives not on small individual plates, but on massive silver platters meant to be shared as a collective feast. The centerpiece is often uzi, a slow-roasted lamb that falls apart at the slightest touch, resting heavily on a mountain of fragrant rice studded with toasted pine nuts, sweet raisins, and caramelized onions. The night air smells of charred wood, roasting meats, and the ever-present trace of sweet oud. Eating here is an act of profound human connection. Following deeply rooted tradition, only the right hand is used as fingers, gracefully scoop the warm rice and tear fresh flatbread baked just moments before. Voices lower into intimate, easy conversation. You hear the rhythmic, poetic cadence of the local dialect, punctuated by soft, genuine laughter. There is no rush to finish. Nobody is looking at a clock or checking a screen. Time simply expands to accommodate the gathering. This immense generosity of time is perhaps the most precious commodity in the entire modern world, and here it is given freely to guests. Sitting in the warm night air, you realize that the true luxury of this culture is the boundary they draw around their private lives. In a city that practically invites the whole world to come and look, the locals have mastered the beautiful art of being invisible. They have built an impenetrable sanctuary of tradition, family, and quiet grace right in the very center of the world's most spectacular playground. The fire in the courtyard has burned down to soft, glowing embers. The distant roaring engines of the city have finally quieted, leaving only the sound of the wind moving through the dry leaves of the gahwa tree above us. We so often judge places by their loudest elements. We look at the towering glass and the blinding gold, and we assume we understand the entire story. But true culture never shouts, it whispers. It lives in the slow, deliberate pouring of cardamom coffee, the ancient scent of smoke woven into a pristine white garment, the silent flight of a hunting bird over cooling sand, and the memory of pearl divers held tightly in the palm of a weathered hand. Dubai is a place of immense financial wealth, yes, but the wealth that truly matters, the wealth that sustains the people who call this harsh and beautiful desert home, cannot be bought in a mall. It has to be inherited. It has to be practiced every single day. It has to be fiercely protected. When you sit in the quiet, hidden spaces of this city, you do not feel the dizzying rush of the future. You feel the deep, steady roots of the past holding fast beneath the shifting sands. And you realize that luxury, in its most beautiful and human form, is simply the preservation of the soul. Thank you for walking with us through these quiet spaces tonight. If this journey made you feel something, if it made you want to look past the bright surface of the world to find the quiet humanity beneath, we invite you to subscribe and leave a thought in the comments below. We would love to hear what hidden corners of culture you are most drawn to. Until we wander together again, take care of yourself and keep traveling slowly.